Hey guys, free pick time. All right, back with another free play. So today I have a college basketball play for you guys. I'm going to walk you through this game, why I think there's value on a day where I tweeted out the line makers must have been sniffing glue last night, because some of these lines in college basketball are way off. We're talking 2.5, 3, 4 points of value on these games, and we are absolutely going to take full advantage of that. So needless to say, we have a lot of college basketball today, a lot of full unit plays. I have one full unit play in NBA as well. Top to bottom, though, lots of value out there today. And I want to talk really quickly about value and about understanding the lines, and most importantly, the thing that a lot of sports bettors overlook, which is really the matrix that you should be using to measure your success, not necessarily wins and losses. All right, guys, so before we jump into it, we'll talk about that. If you're interested in full card, benderwins.com. It's $99 a month, gets you my full card every single day, and there is a lot of value going on out here today. So, first and foremost, guys, closing line value, okay? CLV, you see it all over the place. You might not know what it is, but basically, in a nutshell, closing line value is if you are beating the closing line. So let's say you bet a game at plus 12 and that team closes at plus 10. Well, you have 2 full points of value versus the closing line. That means you have found closing line value. You have beat the closing line. Now, why is this important? It's important when you take a step back and you try to understand what the lines actually represent, okay? And what the lines actually represent, for lack of a better term, is an auction. Okay, and this is probably the most simplistic way to describe it, where you can look at something and say it's either overvalued or undervalued. Now, if you went to a car auction and the cars are rolling down the line and they open the bidding at $10,000 on a car and nobody bids on the car, well, why is it that no one bid on the car? Because it's overvalued. Maybe it's not worth that. So they drop it down to $7,000. And all the bidding starts. 7,000. Do I hear 75? 75. 8. And do I hear 9? Silence, right? Because the market has now shown that that's probably around the right number. Okay? 8.5, 9,000. Maybe that's where the car is worth, right? But how sports betting is different from an auction is there's not just one car for sale. There's unlimited amount of cars for sale, and you can buy them at whatever price the auction's at right now. So when nobody bought that car at that price, and in this case, to bet a line down, a lot of people were betting the other side, which you don't have at an auction, it dropped the price of the car down to 7,000. Now at 7,000, they had gone too low. It was an outstanding deal. So you could buy that car right then and there for 7,000, even though the market in the end says, no, that car is actually worth 8,500 or 9,000 because that's what it's sold for. Okay. Now, certainly we're using this as an analogy to try to understand that even though that car is worth $8,500 or $9,000, you paid $7,000. You are in front of the market. Okay. You are in a good position long-term to make profitability. All right. Now, the thing with sports betting is just because you've identified and found value, there's no guarantee that value is going to come in. But the importance of beating closing line, the importance of getting good value on your purchases is because over the long term, you will beat Vegas, all right? The closing line, the line that finishes, is an agreement amongst sharps that this is the correct number, okay? This is when all the back and forth happens. You get sometimes steam on both sides, right? Look at a football game where a game sitting at 6.5 and the sharps loving the favorite. They pound it. The line moves to 7.5 and then boom, you get the buyback on the other side, right? Game finishes at, a spread of 7. The people who have plus 7.5, they have value. The people who have plus 6.5, they have value. And the sharps agree that there was value on both sides. Now, sure, some of them who are betting the minus 6.5 might say, no, like the value's on the 6.5. And the people arguing the 7.5 might say, no, it's on this side of the 7, right? That key number. But at the end of the day, did they both beat the closing line? Absolutely. Could that game land on 7? Sure, that's the second most common number in football. Both sides win, right? At the end of the day, beating the closing line is so important. And this is how you have to track yourself. You cannot control once a game starts. You can't control going into a football game and having 4 turnovers, okay? You cannot control outshooting a team in hockey 45-12 and losing 2-0. You can't control that. What you can control is your ability to find value in the lines. And that is why it is so important to track yourself versus CLV. Okay, how often, at what percentage are you beating the closing line? Okay, and it's very, very simple. About 1% of people probably actually track it, but it is so incredibly important to understand if you're finding value. And this can be one of the greatest ways to plug a leak in your sports betting. If you're looking at NBA and you're thinking, well, I win at all the other sports, why can't I win at NBA? Then you look at your closing line value and find out you're only beating the closing line 42% of the time. There's your answer. You're doing something fundamentally wrong, okay? If you're doing things the right way, you will beat the closing line. Last year, guys, our closing line numbers were ridiculous, and this year, they were even better. So we'll continue to try to find value, because when you find value, when you're able to buy a car for $7,000 that's really worth $9,000, over the long term, you're going to make a lot of money. All right, guys, let's jump into today's free play. This is going to be an added or extra game. Now, added or extra games are noted by the 6-digit rotation number. So every game's got a 3-digit rotation number you look for when you're up on the board in Vegas. Added or extra games have 6-digit rotations, okay? Sometimes they're in their own separate section on the betting sites, etc., etc. But this one, guys, we're going to go with UAB minus 12, okay? UAB minus 12. Good amount of value in this one, guys, top to bottom. Today, I cannot promise you that we're going to have a winning day. It's an impossibility. No one can on any given day. Can't even promise going to have a winning week. But I can promise you this, we are going to beat the closing line on a lot of these games because the lines are wrong. Straight up. All right, guys, BenderWins.com for the full card. I wish you guys the best of luck. We'll see you soon.